Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. I am excited today to be joined by Kira Dunn and Jamie Smart, who will be presenting the Lucid Visual Collaboration Suite in Microsoft Teams. Take it away, Jamie.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bill. Before we start on up, I would love to get an idea of who we have with us today live. So if you are with us live, please go ahead and let me know in the chat what your role is and where you're located. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah, so I've been enjoying some snow over the weekend, which has been lovely, but it does seem to be clearing up quite a bit. So go ahead and let us know those things in the chat so we can get familiar. With that, I'm super excited to be chatting with you all about Lucid and Microsoft Teams and really the power that you can get from utilizing Lucid in Microsoft Teams. Now, I am going to put a link in the chat that is going to create a copy of the presentation that I am utilizing so that you can have access to all of the resources that I show today. Whether you're joining live or you are watching the recording, you can refer to this link to come back to these things. But we're really going to focus on the power of utilizing Lucid in Microsoft Teams. Now, you may be wondering, sure, Bill said that Jamie and Kira were here, but who are we and why should you listen to us? My name is Jamie Smart, and I am a customer trainer at Lucid. My number one goal as a customer trainer is to really empower our users to see and work visually, and to do that in the Lucid Visual Collaboration Suite. So I have a couple years of just really trying to help people see the power and where they can save time, which is where I get so excited about talking about integrations. Kira, do you want to quickly introduce yourself as well? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here.
Sure. Jamie will be leading most of the training today, but I'm Kira Dunn. I'm a product marketing manager at Lucid, and I will be floating around in the chat answering questions that come up. But we're very excited to be here with you today.
Yes, perfect. And as she mentioned, be sure to get those questions in the chat as we go throughout, but we'll also have some dedicated Q&A time. So just so you can get a little bit of an idea of what to expect today, what we're going to cover, what it's going to look like. So I'm going to start us off today by talking about the integration in Lucid, where you can go if you are in Lucid to enable it, but also where you can go in Teams to enable Lucid. And then we'll go to the best practices for using Lucid in Teams and really where that powerful mark comes into play. And then we will conclude with a Q&A to be sure that we get all of your questions answered. And then, of course, leave you with a contact if you need additional support or additional information. So it's pretty brief. It's pretty quick. I do want to peek over at the chat and see who we've got. It looks like we've got folks all over. We've got folks in Seattle, New York, Canada potentially. Let's see, any more? Okay, New Jersey, wonderful. So we've got folks all over. That is great. And that's really where this power is going to come as you are utilizing Lucid in Teams. We can do this from wherever we are, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So first, let's start with how we're going to enable our Teams integration if we are in Lucid. So what we would do in this situation is we would come to our Lucid homepage. And at the very bottom here, we've got our integrations tab. Beneath here, it's going to be broken up by product. So you'll notice we have Lucid Chart, Lucid Spark, and Lucid Scale. We're really focusing in on Lucid Chart and Lucid Spark today. So if folks select in on Lucid Chart, you'll see quickly under the featured integrations that this second middle option here is the Microsoft Teams and Lucid Chart integration. All users will need to enable both Lucid Chart and Lucid Spark if they are using both platforms. Now, majority of users are going to be using both platforms, so it's important that we realize, okay, we still need to enable both Lucid Chart and Lucid Spark. And the process from here would be pretty straightforward. They would select Start, and this would bring them into Microsoft to getting it now. Of course, they would need to log into their Microsoft Teams account and get it enabled from this end. Now, that experience would be the same if they chose Lucid Spark. The exact same thing would happen for them. They would choose Start, and it would plop them into logging into their Microsoft Teams instance. Now, but what about if we are in Teams? How do I bring in my Lucid Spark and Lucid Chart into Teams? And then, of course, into our next step of the agenda, what are my best practices once I'm there? So when we pull up our Teams account, I've got a little demo account here. There's a few different ways that you can begin adding in your Lucid Chart or Lucid Spark boards. So the first thing that you might want to consider is for your teams. Are there boards that everyone on the team needs access to? So maybe Kira and I are going to be having a meeting today, and I want to be sure that we have a space that we can work together on, because we need to be able to see it visually. Now, if it was live or asynchronous, we would do the same process. So we would come up to the top of our team that we're in and choose the plus icon to add a tab. From here, you can search for Lucid Spark or Lucid Chart. I'm going to start in with Lucid Spark, if they didn't come up automatically like mine did at the top. But then you would choose that Lucid Spark whiteboard. After you choose this, it is going to prompt you to get logged into your Lucid account. Of course, I've already linked my Lucid account, so I don't have to worry about linking that again. But this will give me a list of all of my Lucid Spark boards. And then I, of course, could search for additional boards. Or if I wanted to, I could even create a new board. So maybe you're working with a team and you realize you want to map out the brainstorming that you're doing, or you want to map out a meeting that's going to be happening. You may do plus new board. So we're going to go ahead and just do a new board for this situation. It'll give me the time to rename this. So I could say Kira and Jamie's brainstorm. And then I could choose save, and it would save that for me and set up that Lucid Spark board. Now, what's great is because I've added it to this team, anybody who has access to this team account would have access to this board. So Kira, if you're on here, feel free to come on over to this board that I just created. And I can see here, Kira is here, whether we were online together in a meeting or just working asynchronously. She could start pulling out her sticky notes and begin editing however she needed to be. So maybe we decide, hey, we need to have a quick brainstorming session. So I'm going to create a frame and title it brainstorming session, and then put a title of locations for our tea retreat, and so on. Now, why might I want to do this particular instance in Teams versus opening the browser? Well, first things first, obviously that sharing functionality was very quick. Kara was able to quickly access this board simply by coming where she would have come anyway into our team, and then coming over to our board. Even more than that, we don't have to go to multiple places. We can do all of our work in this single space. So what if I was using Lucid Chart? I'm seeing here how Kira and I could come in and have our brainstorming session, say where we want to go, and do this together here. But what if I have a situation where my team needs access to maybe one of our processes, or a different flow that we have for this team specific, or maybe we even need to finish building out our process flow? That's when we would come into Lucid Chart. Now the experience would be the same. I would still come to the top here to add a tab, and then I could search for Lucid Chart and add that here. Again, this would prompt them to log in and get their document pulled up, but I could also do plus document and create new, as we did with the Lucid Spark document. And then this would add this blank diagram into my next tab, and we could have all of those same diagramming functionalities together in one space. not having to leave where we're already communicating as a team. And I can already see Kira coming in and adding her customization. Now, I will say the biggest power that I see in Microsoft Teams is definitely going to be adding your boards to your meetings. This is going to be primarily in Lucid Spark. Lucid Spark is one of those places where we're highly encouraging folks to have a space where everyone has a voice. Sometimes when we're in a meeting, coming off mute can be intimidating, or finding the time to come off mute can be intimidating. However, having a Lucid Spark board with us in our meeting gives everyone a voice by giving them a sticky note. So let's say we're scheduling a meeting, in which case, of course, we would come to our calendar on the left-hand side. Once we're in our calendar, we would choose our date. I'm just going to choose this time here and say Kira and Jamie's brainstorming session. And the important note here is that you do need to add attendees in order to add a Lucid board as well. So I'm going to invite Kira here. And you would do all of your other editing here and then choose send. After you've sent your invite, you can come back into that invite, press edit, and then you'll have the same option that we were having before in our team to come to the top, add a tab, and then link that Lucid Spark board that you want to utilize during the meeting. We have found on our teams that we will always have a Lucid Spark board for any meeting that we are having as a team, whether it be one person presenting, but everyone being able to access it and still interact, really making it so that it's still interactive instead of static. Or maybe it's for something like this, like having a brainstorming session. Now, the difference that will come here is that because I'm not in a team where folks have been invited, you noticed before when I added my Lucid Spark and Lucid Chart boards to my team, Kira automatically had access because she was added to that team. With meetings, on the other hand, you are going to need to specify what type of access is this individual that you've invited to the meeting going to get. This is really great for security purposes if you are having a meeting with an external customer or even internal, and depending on licenses, they can change to have login not required or make it specific to their organization. So mine says restricted to Lucid software. Other folks would say their organization, and then I can change their permissions directly from here instead of having to open my browser. So I'm going to give Kira that access there, choose save, and then of course it would include that board right on our meeting. So once we're meeting, even if we're chatting, we would be able to interact in this format as well. So again, we don't have to leave this one space to be able to continue interacting and still get all of the features and all of the most out of Lucid that we need to have. Alrighty, I've covered quite a bit here. It may seem fairly straightforward, but of course we want to leave time for your questions. I've covered how to add Lucid Spark, how to add Lucid Chart. What are your best practices? One of them being, hey, if you're having a meeting, go ahead and link that Lucid Spark board into that meeting. Or of course, add those boards to your channels that are the most relevant to. So let's come back here to our presentation and look at questions. I want to be sure that we have time for questions, getting everything answered that you may have. So if you want to come off mute or put those in the chat, this would be your time to do so.
Great. Thank you so much, Jamie. That was wonderful. I'm really excited about this integration. What languages does Lucid support?
Yeah, that is a really great question. Kira, I don't know if you have the list that you could maybe even pull up.
Yes, it's a bit of a long list, Bill,
Yeah.
so let me send it in the chat right now.
Is it,
I thought
say, more than 10
listing them
languages?
off.
Yeah, more than 10 languages.
How about pricing?
I will also drop the links to the pricing pages. It depends on whether you're interested in just Lucid Chart or just Lucid Spark, or if you're interested in bundling them both together, which is something that we especially recommend for our enterprise customers. And so I will send the links for pricing as well.
Can you give us a range, just because I might not be able to easily share that?
Oh, yes. Again, it depends. For enterprise customers, we always recommend contacting our sales team, because that's how we are able to provide really great deals with bundling products and so on and so forth. You can get started with any of our products for free, or an individual account ranges about, for Lucid Spark, $7.95 per user per month. You can have a team account for $9 per user per month. And again, enterprise, we recommend contacting sales. With Lucid Chart, it's about the same pricing for each one of those individual products.
Got it. Thank you, Kara. And tell us about your plans around FedRAMP support.
Yes, we're very excited. We announced a few months ago that Lucid software is in process of becoming FedRAMP authorized. That should be happening pretty soon here. I would keep an eye on our press releases and upcoming announcements. And once we launch our FedRAMP instance, we will be starting to ensure that each one of our integrations is also part of our FedRAMP compliant instance.
Excellent. Okay. If anyone wants to come on video and off mute, feel free to ask any questions. Are there upcoming features that you haven't shown that you're particularly excited about?
Well, that is a big question.
It is a big question.
Yeah.
Just going to say, Jamie, that one of the main things that we find our users see a lot of value in with our Lucid products is our ability to integrate seamlessly into your workflow. And a lot of that includes wonderful integrations such as our Microsoft Teams integration. And that's an area that we are continuing to invest in at Lucid. Just yesterday, we launched another new Lucid Cards integration for Google Sheets. And we have a SharePoint integration that has recently come out, several other integrations in the works that are coming through in the pipeline soon. And so that's an area where I recommend subscribing to our newsletter so that you can make sure that you have an understanding of the integrations that we offer for all of our various enterprise customers, so that our products can link seamlessly throughout the workflow.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kira and Jamie. Wonderful presentation. And I'm really excited about the integration, the Lucid Visual Collaboration Suite into Microsoft Teams. It's really a strong addition to that collaborative environment, and we thank you for presenting it today. And thanks everyone for joining.
Call out, sorry, I did include additional resources as well. So if you all are wanting just some quick videos that walk you through how to link these things, what are some of the powers, and then of course on this next slide here, I've got our Help Center articles as well as a great email contact for you to rely on if you need additional support. So if you missed the link to this board, I will throw it back in the chat, and then we will include that for the recording as well so that folks can refer back to this if they need it.
Yeah, it's great how you used Lucid to present today. So thank you again. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for those joining. And thanks again, our friends at Lucid. Take care.
Thank you for being great partners. We love our friends at Microsoft.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.